So obviously this is an incredibly important race in Georgia, and there is a big elephant in the room. So let me point it out, which is that there's a conflict here, which you have the president going to Georgia now, and he's going to speak on behalf of Republican candidates. And in the same breath, though, we have to be honest and say that he has challenged those results in Georgia, and he is declaring that this is a stolen and a rigged election. You've already seen the likes of Ronna McDaniel, who's had to face against that. She did a presser in Georgia last week, and you have Republican voters saying, well, why do I need to vote if it's rigged? There is no evidence that is rigged. A lot of the claims that I have seen the president make with respect to Georgia are untrue, including that video that we'll get to later that has been widely debunked by the Secretary of State and others. However, it is a problem if Republican voters in that state believe what the president is saying and decide not to go out and vote. If Ronna McDaniel has come out and said, it is not decided, the audit has not shown these things, get out there and vote. This is a conflict, and I'm curious to see how this plays out when the president arrives and what happens in his speech and how people feel about it afterward.
Yeah, it's Greg Gutfeld said, sometimes he says a lot of things that are spot on. He said, it's like watching this Georgia Senate race is like you've watched the Super Bowl and now you have to watch curling. You want to get excited about it, it's just not the same as the Super Bowl. And Jed, I would disagree. I think there's plenty of evidence. The video that exists there, some people have attempted to dissect it. It hasn't been fully dissected. There are plenty of people that are taking a look at that and other things. How many water mains are going to break in Atlanta that have not been explained so they can pause the counting? And the question everyone has, not just in Georgia, across the country, is was there an opportunity for fraud? Of course. Was there a created opportunity for fraud? Absolutely. The amount of poll watchers in states like Milwaukee, Atlanta, Philly, Detroit that were not allowed, Republicans, is astonishing. They stopped the count in the dead of night for no explanation in multiple places, after which hundreds of thousands of ballots, none of which could have been computed with the amount of machines that they had there, were dumped into those races. And the Trump team is actually doing a phenomenal job pulling together affidavits, hundreds of them across the country, of people very credible on camera saying, I was not allowed. I saw ballots that were repetitive, that were all Biden being scanned through the machine. And they're taking the time to do the hard work to present the evidence, much of which will move to the Supreme Court. So you can't just say there's no evidence. One local reporter looked at the videotape, therefore it's not true. There's a lot more evidence than just that.
That's not true. That's not true.
You can't just say it's just the facts. That's not true.
No.
We don't have all the facts because it takes time to dig.
On that particular video, you have the Secretary of State's office in Georgia that watched hours and hours of video and went through the process and said, this is what happened. These were not suitcases. These were ballot boxes. People were not asked to leave the room.
In all of these states in the middle of the night, Jen? Why was the count stopped in multiple states in the middle of the night and hundreds of thousands of ballots added in? Why were Republicans not allowed to monitor the vote in all of these states? Why was signature required? They weren't allowed. They used COVID-19 as an excuse. Well, go ahead.
No, they were, and that is why in Philadelphia you had Trump attorneys not making that allegation because they were in the room. The allegation was the distance that they were allowed to observe, and that I think was the one win out of the 30 plus wins. There are 2 signature checks in Georgia. All I'm saying is a lot of what has been alleged by President Trump has not come to fruition in court. It's not being alleged by them in court. It's not being proven in court. You have 30 plus court cases that have been thrown out, and you have Trump-appointed judges, Republican secretaries of state coming out and saying, listen, we're watching this. This is not what's happening, and giving explanations for those things. All I'm saying is you have a conflict there between what's happening in Georgia, what people on the ground in Georgia are saying, and what the president is saying. And now he is coming to a state saying, get out and vote. And people are questioning, why should we vote if you're telling us it's rigged? That is an absolute conflict in terms of messaging that they'll have to figure out what to do with.
So to take this conversation full circle when it comes to Georgia, I don't think that has to be